Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of
The Lo and Zo Show.
So today we're going to be talking about unwanted manifestations, what they mean, how to view them, how to move past them, and really why they show up for us in our lives. Zoe and I are also going to be sharing times in which we've manifested very much unwanted things and what has happened as a result. But really, we want to just bring it back to you guys claiming your power within unwanted manifestations and showing you why they do come up.
Yeah, and trusting the process as it unfolds because it always makes sense at the end.
Absolutely.
Let's get started.
I'm Lo.
And I'm Zo, and this is The Lo and Zo Show.
We're coaches and entrepreneurs who firmly believe that an abundant mind is the key to an abundant life.
On this podcast, we're going to be talking everything from how to manifest more money, travel, success in business, and beyond,
to overcoming the blocks that are holding you back,
to rewiring your brain so you can easily attract whatever it is you want the most in life.
If you haven't already, be sure to join us inside our Facebook community, the Queen Mind Tribe, for daily tips, mindset hacks, manifesting tricks, and more that'll allow you to build the confidence you need
to manifest the abundant AF life you deserve.
Now let's get started. All right, so before we dive into today's topic, which we're really excited to share with you guys, we have been talking the last couple of weeks about a course that Zoe and I are putting together. And at the end of today's episode, we're going to be sharing with you guys what that course is, a few of the details around it. We're so excited.
Yeah, we're so excited to share this with you guys. It's truly going to change the game for you when it comes to creation, manifestation, and just all the power that you have. You're going to feel so empowered by the end of this course.
Well, we really created it to be unlike anything else that we've seen out there in terms of manifestation programs, right?
Because you're going to manifest inside of this course in a way that's just going to shake up your reality and show you how much of a creator you really are.
Exactly. And I think that that's what we're so excited about, is that the content that we're going to be sharing with you guys is it's going to get a bit weird in the best way possible. Yeah. I feel so empowered when I start reading about more the science side of creation, manifestation, because we've all heard all the law of attraction stuff, step 1, visualize, step 2, believe it's coming, step 3, manifest. That doesn't really work for very many people unless you have the understanding that we're going to be sharing with you guys inside our upcoming course.
Yeah, so, it's time to go deeper.
Way deeper. That is where your power is, and it is a quick shift. It's once you realize what we're going to be sharing with you, we're before this episode started, we're going to save all the details to the end of the episode. And here we are just going on a tangent, but that's fine. We'll do both. But once you guys get what we're going to be sharing with you inside the course and prove it to yourself how it works, things are going to shift for you quickly. It is that powerful. My quantum leaps in business came out of literally just learning what we're going to be it didn't take a long time for me to understand it. I just had to learn it. I just needed the information and then to see it play out, and nothing in my life has been the same since then.
We're going to give you a different way to look at your reality, one in which you truly are the creator or God, if you will.
Yeah, so we still have a link for the waitlist for that if you're wanting to just be in the know when things actually launch in a couple of weeks from now. We have some really special episodes coming out around it with the wrap up of season 1. So put yourself on the waitlist. The details for that are in the show notes. And at the end of today's episode, we're going to reveal the name of our course, just sort of the whole premise around it with a little bit more detail. So without further ado, though, today's topic.
Today's topic is all about unwanted manifestations, or you could even be chapters in your life and why they happen. And they happen for you to recognize what you need to go to work on or heal within yourself.
Yes, exactly. And I think that even to take it a step before that, when people first started getting into the world of manifestation, being oh my gosh, I can attract what I want. I can create anything. I can manifest. The first thing that they do is they go to work on getting intentional about what they want. And usually, we already know what we want. We want more money. We want our soulmate love. We want more freedom, a business, more travel, whatever it is. And so we start visualizing that for ourselves. We follow the steps that every law of attraction teacher plus their mother has laid out for us. And then we immediately wonder why not only did we not get what we wanted, but we actually oftentimes got something that was kind of on the other end of the spectrum, something unwanted first. And I think what's a shame is that a lot of people take that as evidence for either it doesn't work, it's not real, or I'm not good at it, so I shouldn't even try.
Yeah. And just the fact that it's not working. Yes, perhaps the end goal is at work, but you need to hold the faith too. You need to keep the end in mind, as we spoke about in our previous episode, of keeping that end goal in your mind in such a clear way that you're visiting it repeatedly so that you know no matter what it is that you're going through, if you choose to keep the end goal in mind and go to work on whatever you may need to go to work on, whatever is presenting itself, which Laura and I will share some stories that might give you guys some insights on where to look, the end will be granted to you.
Exactly. And so we kind of want to talk about why those unwanted manifestations show up within that end goal coming to you. And the process, like, I think that we think the process towards what we want is just going to be this like number of steps laid out before us, and they're lit up with rainbow lighting, and
we're going to know exactly what to do.
Exactly.
We're going to know exactly how it's played out.
Yeah,
there's going to be snacks and Gatorade along the way.
Yeah.
You know,
it's just going to get better and better and better and better. In reality, it's as soon as you set an intention for yourself, the universe is going to start showing you where, like, you've set that intention, you're going to start now gaining evidence or gaining like a reflection back to where you are currently at vibrationally, what you are currently creating in that area of your life. So let's say you've said, okay, I want the relationship of my dreams. And the first person that you attract out of that is someone who is all of the things that you did not want. You said, I want someone who I can communicate with. I want someone who treats me amazing. I want all of these things. He's Prince Charming. He's everything that I've ever wanted and more. The first person that you attract is, you know, someone who ghosts you, or someone who, I don't know, just you're not attracted to, or treats you less than the way that you'd like to be treated. It's not that you got it wrong. It's that was the universe showing you where you needed to go to work, what you have going on subconsciously. And Zoe's really good at talking about this in terms of like looking at what you need to be healed, becoming aware of, what you need to heal rather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like the universe is trying to show you where you need to fill up your own self before then you can attract that counterpart, before you can meet the vibration of that which you are seeking.
Exactly. Because if you are setting an intention for the love of your life who treats you like a princess and all this kind of stuff, but you have subconscious beliefs or even like dominant stories within you, maybe from past relationships, about how you've been treated, and you continue to project that, that's going to be reflected back to you. So every unwanted manifestation, even if it's something small or minuscule, it's a chance for you to clean up what you are putting out there into the world. And we can talk a little bit about how you might want to do that, ways in which you can let some of those old stories go. I know, like, Zoe as a life coach has a lot of experience with this, and you've done a lot of your own work around cleaning up those stories that you have about yourself from your past experiences, maybe about unworthiness or not being good enough, or like all the stuff that we've each got going on.
Yeah.
What would be, do you have like a tip for people in terms of how to heal that part of them that's attracting that unwanted to them?
Yeah. So I would say sift into it and see if you can pull out an inner narrative or a story.
Yes.
So a lot of the time it is around unworthiness, not feeling worthy of what it is that you want, not feeling good enough, or feeling unlovable. Because if at the core of who you are and in your subconscious, because it might not be easy to identify that you feel unlovable, but if you keep attracting people who aren't showing up with that affection, that deep love that you're seeking, you need to go deep down inside of you and pull out, why do I feel this way? And once you have uncovered that, it might come down to, well, it always comes down to something that happened in our childhood, but you may not be able to remember the specific scenario, this specific event, or the person who created you to believe this about yourself. But once you can recognize, okay, there is this void of love, this place in which I don't feel that I am lovable. And then you can begin to show yourself more love in different areas of your life and just different acts of self-love. So it could be as simple as, okay, now I'm going to start journaling about all of the qualities that I really appreciate about myself. Maybe it's 10 things a day. Or I am going to put on face masks every day because I really care about this body that I've chosen to go through life with. And just acknowledging yourself for who you are and just building yourself up from wherever you are into a space where you feel like, I love me, so of course someone else could love me too. Yes. As a brief example, it does take a lot of digging. It does, for me personally, it's taken a lot of coaching and like years of coaching really, and just kind of sitting with myself and my thoughts, which, like I said, sometimes you have to go to a dark place, but trust that once you go to those depths and you figure it out, you don't have to go back there again. It's done. It's healed.
Yeah, and I think that like the more aware you become, the faster you're able to sort of heal. Like I know for me, like I've learned so much about myself and what I have going on subconsciously in my dating life, looking back at like who I've attracted, what I've attracted, and the more I believe that it's all a reflection of me, and I really do believe that.
Everyone is your mirror.
Everyone is your mirror, which like my ego sometimes likes to forget that and be righteous about something. I'm certainly not perfect with it. But at the end of the day, I always come back to if someone in my life is doing something that is irking me a little bit or bothering me, what is it bringing to light within me, or how is it that I attracted this into my experience? Right?
Yeah. So take a look at your triggers. Anyone out there, if like anyone, whether it's your person you're in a relationship with, a friend, a parent, if they're saying something or having a certain behavior and it's affecting you in an emotional, reactive way, that's a great place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, we really just live inside these paradigms that we create for ourselves. So I know like women, especially when it comes to dating, I've had this same discussion with guy friends of mine too, but women especially, we have all these things that we decide are truths about dating. Like there's no good men out there. They're all taken. There's lots of like, you know, emotionally unavailable people and I keep drawing them to me, or I only meet these, like whatever it is that you are focusing on, you are drawing evidence for. So it's not that that's true. There's always evidence for the contrary of your story, but it's like you want to view yourself as like creating this energy field around you, and only things that are a match to that energy or similar like frequency are able to show themselves to you in your experience, right? So I feel like earlier on in my like self-development work, I had to do a lot of what Zoe's talking about in terms of like a lot of coaching, a lot of like really digging deep. Now it's like in my dating life per se, like something shows up and I'm so easily able to identify where that came from and go, oh, okay, well, I'm just not going to project that anymore. Like that was a creation of mine. And I think that I've gotten out of like any kind of blame. I don't hold anything against anybody now. I don't even see like when someone, you know, says something to me, whether it's regardless of where it is in my life, I just see it as like, it's not even, they're not even saying that to me. This is me saying this to me, or like the universe reflecting this back to me or whatever. Right. So it's like every single person is an opportunity for me to clean up what I am putting out there and thus attracting to me. Or I know we talk about attraction versus creation. I still use the word attraction here and there, but creating within my reality, if you will.
And just think about that, all the power that you have when you recognize, like, for example, as Laura gave the example, it's like someone, whoever it is who's reflecting something back to me. It's just me talking to me. How much power do you have in that? Wait, like
so
how much?
I find it like one of my girlfriends was like, Laura, sometimes I think you take a little too much responsibility. And I'm like, I get why you're saying that. She's almost like, don't be so hard on yourself for like creating everything. And I'm like, I don't want to be in the belief that like sometimes I create what I get and other times I don't. That doesn't give me any power at all, right? I want to, it's not that, like I said, it's not that I'm never righteous about anything or that I don't have days where I just want to blame things on other people. Of course, we all have that like ego or that like victim mentality in us somewhere. And sometimes that has to be expressed. It's just like a part of who we are as human beings. But I find it so empowering. I just feel like I'm really up-leveling the type of people that I'm drawing into my life by saying, what have I attracted to me in the last 6 months? And how do I then project what it is that I want, knowing now through the clarity that was gained in those situations, what I don't want. Yeah. Right. And it's really about tuning into the emotions of what you want. So if it's in dating, let's say, and you have attracted people who maybe didn't give you like the affection that you wanted, or made you feel really unsure of yourself, or were very conditional in their love for you, or whatever it is. Now visualize a scene. In our last episode, we talked about staying connected to the end and getting emotionally involved with it. Visualize a scene where you feel the way that you want to feel, you know, adored, loved, laughing with someone, being really understood, being seen by someone. Like these are emotions that you can tune into. Radiate that energy out of the clarity that you've gained from your past and what people are reflecting back to you, and it will be drawn to you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like Zoe said it best, which was the unwanted manifestations are what needs to be healed within you.
And what's interesting in regards to dating, what you're speaking about, is often people like romantic partnerships are our biggest mirrors in this life. And it can be the most challenging too, because it can bring up a lot of stories at once. Like if you get into a new relationship, it seems like a lot of work at once, but choose one story and choose to rewrite it and just keep actively working through that and remembering, as like Laura said, like once you have the awareness, you can understand where that story or where that narrative came from, and you can just nip it right when it comes up, and you won't be reactive about it.
Exactly. Where you're just like, okay, well, thanks for showing me that. I'm not going to put that out there anymore because I'd prefer this to be over. But when you think about what most people do is like they get an unwanted behavior from somebody else, someone, not texting them back or saying something that they didn't like or whatever. And then they focus on it and they talk to all their friends about it and they continue to tell this story. That's why we have patterns, especially in our relationships with people. We have patterns that show themselves to us over and over and over because we're continuing to place our focus on them and thus draw that experience to us, just with different people.
Yeah.
We attract the same type of people, the same type of behaviors, only because we haven't healed what is within us and attracting that to us.
So essentially, a lot of the time when we attract a romantic partner, if we haven't gone to work on ourselves in that area, we're literally attracting from our wounds.
Yes.
We're attracting the wound that we have so that it is fully brought to the surface, fully confronting, and we have to work through it if we never want to attract it again. Because if you choose to say, okay, no, this is way too much for me, this is a lot of emotions, this is a lot that's coming up, I'm just going to end it, it's going to show up again. Yeah. And I hate to say that to you guys, but history repeats itself until you go to work, until you do the healing, until you figure out that point of view that just needs the unconditional self-love that you didn't get.
Well, and I'm going to get a little vulnerable here and talk about like a story that I had for a long time in regards to romantic relationships, which was that I attracted men who were emotionally unavailable. And this was like something I really believed because I had so much evidence for it, right? And over the last like 6 to 12 months especially, I've really finally dove. I kind of just like pushed that side of my life away. And I was like, I'm going to develop myself in my business and my money mindset. And I'm going to just ignore this because it's too painful and it takes me out of my power and blah, blah, blah. And so then when I moved back to Toronto, I was like, okay, got to deal with this now. And so a lot of it has really come to the surface. But I've really realized it was that I was emotionally unavailable out of fear. I had so much fear going into like even just meeting someone I had feelings for. I just immediately would assume that it was going to end badly for me, right? Or that I was going to get hurt, and I had a lot of evidence for that. And so then I drew stories about the type of people that I attracted, never seeing it as just being a reflection of me and the fear within me that I had not gone to work on.
Yeah.
Right. And that was like a breakthrough of a freaking lifetime to be like, it's not even that those people I was attracting were emotionally unavailable. It's that they only have the capacity to reflect back to me what I'm putting out there. So I was getting that version of them. They're still like really wonderful. Even like the people that the universe chooses to bring into my life to teach me things are still the most wonderful people. Like I feel really, really grateful for that. I've never attracted like really awful or like harsh people into my life, to be honest. I've always attracted very wonderful people, but that who showed me what I had going on vibrationally. And Abraham Hicks talks about your point of attraction. Like your point of attraction, in other words, what it is that you are focusing on or the story that you're telling. And that's like, just look at in any of your area of your life, what do you currently have? What's your physical reality? That's what your point of attraction is. If it's in money, what do you have debt? Are you, barely getting by? That's just the story that you're telling. That's what you're focusing on. Change what you're focusing on, change that point of attraction, heal what it is that's bringing that to you, and you'll stop attracting that, right?
Yeah. You'll have the ability to believe a different story once you start telling it to yourself.
Yes. And then there's sort of one other aspect of this topic that we want to bring in, which is that sometimes, because in our last episode, we talked about trusting the process, holding the end vision and trusting the process. And a lot of the time, the process includes things that we wouldn't think were a part of the process, right? Or like we wouldn't think were leading us to the end result. So we set that end goal, and so much of the time, like we get to where we get because something undesirable happens that pushes us closer to what we're asking for. So it can either be that you are attracting what you are putting out there, like what we've just described, or it's that kind of undesirable, not so happy thing came to you because it is also a step in the direction of what you've asked for. And like Zoe and I both have experiences where we got something unwanted.
Yeah. And I think for me personally, just those two reasons, I think it's both. I think it truly is both. Like for me personally, I can relate this back to you guys. Now, just this end goal of wanting to move to Rome. But I think it was more of like being happy and fulfilled in my life was the end goal, and figuring out what that meant, what I truly wanted to do as my life's work. Because I always felt like it was something big, it was something abundant, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And Rome was always like a part of that as well. But I attracted an abusive relationship into my life. And for the longest time, like after I got out of that relationship, I couldn't forgive myself. Like I worked into forgiveness for this person and that experience because I realized it was the empowerment that I needed to finally move to Rome, because I got myself out of that relationship, which seemed like it seemed impossible to get out of it when I was in it. It truly felt impossible. There was all this court stuff that I had to deal with by myself. My family wasn't here. It just was a lot. It just was a huge nightmare. But I held the vision in mind that, like, no, once I get through this, like, I'm going to be able to live my abundant life. And, like, part of that visualization, let's say, was Rome. But ending that relationship gave me my power back to know that, okay, I'm the only person who's going to make my life happen for myself. And so I did it. If that person didn't come into my life, maybe I would still be here in Toronto. Maybe I would still be in corporate marketing. Maybe I would still be settling for some type of life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then, like, looking back on it, like I said, it took me about a year to forgive this person, but it took me about 4 to forgive myself, because being so immersed in, like, spirituality, law of attraction, self-help, and it all comes back to, like, you attract, like, what you are. And it's like, how on earth would I ever choose something so horrific for myself? Like, how did that happen to me?
How is that a reflection of me?
How is that a reflection of me when I've been nothing but positive, like trying to live my life in such a kind, like, loving way? Like, why would I attract something the exact opposite? And it wasn't honestly until this past summer in my life coaching course when we took this, like, deep dive within, and then I uncovered that at the bottom of everything, at the bottom of who I am, I truly just felt unlovable because of these patterns that my relationship with my mother had put onto my life. Like, if my mother was abusive in some way, so of course I would have attracted that in a relationship if I never went to work on that aspect.
Yeah.
And I think once I recognized that, it was instantly healed. This is the thing, is like, once I recognized it, like, of course it brought up a lot of emotions. Like, I was crying and, like, had a day where I was just in emotions, probably I'd say like a week of in emotions, but I knew it. And I finally got my answer, because being someone who loves the law of attraction and just, like, I believe it resonates with me, I couldn't understand why. I made myself wrong for it. I made myself wrong. Like, I don't know what part of me, that bad part of me, must have attracted that. Like, I don't want to be a bad person. But it was just because there was something that needed to be healed, and it was trying to show me. That's all it was trying to do. That relationship and everything that happened from it was just trying to show me that there's a part of you, a part of your past, that just wants to be acknowledged for what it was. It wants to be healed, and it just, you know, the emotions need to be felt a little bit more, and you'll be fine. And I'm telling you, once I recognized that, I had all my power back from that relationship with my ex and that relationship with my mom. It was like, finally, that's done.
Well, and what I was just going to ask you is, like, how empowering is that? Because otherwise, to both of those situations, you would have lived as a victim for the rest of your life. And, like, for good reason, too. You're totally justified in that. Mm-hmm. But you set yourself free of that. So how empowering is that to think of it that way? Mm-hmm. To be that, like, aware and that responsible, rather, for your whole reality. It's like, for me, it's like I attract something unwanted, and I'm just immediately in power over it, and almost gratitude too, because I was like, oh,
thank you for showing me.
Thank you for showing me. I mean, I might have a few days of, like, not being so happy, but I always end up just feeling so grateful. And lately my thing has been, like, people specifically who show me what I'm putting out there, or what I still have the fear that I still have that I need to work on. I feel so grateful for them. Whereas in the past, I would have been a victim to it, or I would have been mad at them, or I would have forced them out of my life, or whatever. Whereas now it's like, thank you for being the one that the universe chose to show this to me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then one other sort of aspect of manifesting things unwanted that I wanted to just bring to light for myself is, like Zoe said, it's both. It's that when you manifest something unwanted, it's showing you something within you, but it's also acting as, like, a trampoline or like a springboard into that outcome that you've been focusing on in terms of the end result, right? So I know for me, when I was building my business and I had this intention of going full-time online and being able to travel doing that, even though I had absolutely no idea how that was going to happen, I started focusing on it. And one of the unfortunate things that happened in that process was my apartment where I was living at the time, we have shared this story before, became kind of unlivable out of the blue. I had a neighbor move in. It was a storefront playing like Beats music all day long. And like overnight, my little apartment that was like my only real like stability in this world at that time, like my business wasn't working. I'd gotten into debt to start it. I was super stressed out. And now all of a sudden I hated being at home. So that kind of happened overnight. But what ended up transpiring as a result of that was I was like, I can't stay here. And even though I have no idea how I'm going to make this business start working and be able to leave this apartment, I have to now believe that it's going to happen. And I just started tuning into the result that I wanted and surrendering the how, because it was almost like too big for me at that point. I was like, all right, universe, you have brought this to me. And like Zoe said, it's both. So I think I was in a state of stress and I attracted that to me. But also it did end up being a springboard into the life that I was asking for, which was that in the next like 6 to 7 months, I was forced to let go of trying to figure out how I was going to be able to move out of that apartment, retire my first business, go full-time coaching and be able to travel. And because I let go of the how and I just tuned into the end, I ended up manifesting all of those things. And it was like something unwanted ended up leading me to, like, I traveled Italy and the UK for 3.5 months. I came back here. I moved into an apartment I absolutely love. I never ended up having to go back to my first business. My coaching business really ended up taking off for me. And like, it totally like catapulted me into this life that I to this day just absolutely love, where I just feel so lucky to get to do the work that I do. Like, I'm sitting here with one of my best friends talking about manifestation. You guys are listening to it. Like, on a daily basis, I'm like, I don't know how I created this. And I don't think that it would have happened nearly as fast as it did if I hadn't all of a sudden been presented with a reality that I needed to figure out how to remove myself from.
Yeah, the universe has to make you uncomfortable so that you'll make the moves.
Exactly.
Because we get all too comfortable in our comfort zones.
Exactly.
And the second that, Maslow's hierarchy of needs starts to get shooken up like it did for you, you're like, all right, I have to start taking some action towards what I want. And maybe that action feels uncomfortable. I don't want what's going on around me. I'm not used to this. But the more and more that you take your power back, and the less and less that you spend feeling like a victim to it, the faster you get towards your end goal.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for me, it's like I was already taking action, but I wasn't letting go. I wasn't trusting. And because I have such a strong belief that for me, everything always seems to work out. And I think like a lot of people can really resonate with that. Like, things never get so bad that I like can't recover, or like generally I've always lived a really great life. That doesn't mean it's been all sunshine and rainbows all the time, but things always work out, right? Everything always works out. That's like a mantra of mine. I use it all the time. So because that happened, like Zoe said, like Maslow's hierarchy, I all of a sudden didn't really have a home that I felt happy in at all. I just had to surrender, had to trust. And I thought my job is to keep showing up, taking action, but only as I feel guided to do. Like, universe, all right, I'm in this situation. You're going to guide me out. And because I had such a strong belief that things work out for me, I just couldn't imagine staying in that apartment longer than I needed to. And yeah, so it was absolutely like things got quite a bit worse. And for quite a while, I was in that apartment for a good 6 to 7 months. After that happened, like hating it, being super unhappy, barely being able to sleep. But I just had such a strong belief things would work out. It was like it forced me to have that belief. Things have to work out.
Forced you to surrender.
Yeah, exactly. Like my back was up against a wall. So in that case, I don't think this is always the case, but in that case, things had to get worse before they got better. But they got so much better and so quickly as a result of that happening.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would say the same thing happened for me personally. Like, I would say after I uncovered that big block, or this big kind of void within myself from my ex and the connection to my mother and that chain within me, once I broke that, once I took back my power, that's when I had my best money month ever. It was so crazy too, because you reminded me, you're like, when I was sitting with anxiety or like going through these emotions for about a week, Laura, I just remember you said this to me, like, what have you been calling in? And I was like, oh, abundance, right? Abundance in these different ways, and like love and financial abundance. So of course, the more and more that I was feeding those visualizations, that momentum the deep healing had to just present itself in the way that it did, literally erupting like a volcano.
Yes.
Because I was pulling on those visualizations like every day. I was like, come on, yeah, I'm here. I'm feeling you. Like, where are you? And then it was like, oh, okay, here's the deep darkness that has to come up before the sunshine.
And you're like illuminating something there that's almost like another way of looking at it, which is that when you set these intentions
for quantum leaps,
you have to get out of the way what's in the way. And like, I know we kind of already touched on this, but this is just a more powerful way to say it. There is stuff in your way, limiting beliefs, old ways of thinking and feeling about yourself, past experiences that you have to remove. It has to come to the surface, right? So the more like Zoe was intending for abundance and love in her life, the more you were feeling called to have that breakthrough, right? That had been sitting dormant for you for, like you said, 4 years.
Yeah. 4 years is not forgiving myself, but I would say like my entire life,
right.
like 27 years of being in this story that I wasn't worthy of love, that I was an unlovable human being.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And also what I'd say too is like, because I know that things were really bad for you before you went to Rome. That was like, I'd met you less than a year before you were in that relationship. You were in a job that you hated. I know you wrote your whole book, Beauty and the Breakdown, about how many not desirable things were happening. But look what happened as a result. You were like, screw this.
Yeah.
Like the universe will give you that clarity. You went to Rome. From what I saw, you totally quantum leapt once you got there.
Yeah.
You know, your YouTube channel exploded. You attracted a book deal. You attracted like a completely different life.
Yeah. It's the trampoline, kind of like you said.
Springboard.
Like, it's springboard. You go down, down, and then you get catapulted up because you guys, literally, if you haven't read my book, I was in a near-death plane crash experience.
I didn't even know about that until I read your book. It was like, what?
I have yet to make a YouTube video about it.
You should.
I know, but I still fly Air Canada sometimes.
Yeah. Anyways, like through all of that, I mean, it's interesting that happened in that time because like, where was your energy, right?
Yeah.
Like, that you happened to get on that plane.
Yeah, but it was just that clean up. It was literally like I had to go with a freaking broom and sweep out everything that was unserving, anything that just, well, and I think it just way.
Kept getting worse and worse and worse until you were like, no, screw this, quitting my job, going to Rome.
Yeah, but the thing is, and it kind of comes back to our course too, is my reality had to get shooken right up for me to be like, okay, I need to take back my power and I need to do something with it. And this is like comes back to our course too, because we want to show you guys that if you decide to look at reality in a different way, and in a way that gives you all the power, you are the creator, and anything can happen, and quantum leaps are possible. In you would be surprised at how fast things can happen.
And it's not to say that we're gonna shake up your reality in a bad way. Like all this not good stuff is gonna.
It's gonna be an exciting way.
Yeah, in an exciting way, in that like we are shaking up your the way that you perceive reality. And I think like this is a perfect segue into sharing our course with you guys. So it is called the Quantum Creators course. You are going to have quantum success in all areas of your life, just to put that out there. The Quantum Creators course, we're actually calling it QC squared. Just like,
I love it.
Yeah. But do you want to tell them a little bit about it? We're not going to like give all the details. We're going to share a little more about it next week, and it is officially launching less than 2 weeks from today. Today's a Tuesday. So like, a day less than 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
The 10th, actually. Just given the date.
So,
of February.
If you guys are really enjoying this quantum type of content that Lauren and I are and have been educating you guys on in the past few weeks, especially more so about how you are the creator rather than an attractor.
Yes.
So just beginning to view yourself as someone who is capable of spending time in your imagination and have that come to fruition, and it just be you. It just be you, and the power is within you. If you are interested more about learning about that and the education behind it to have you believe, like as we were talking about earlier, the more education that you have behind this, the more that you can kind of back it by science, really, and feel more confident in it that way, you can just pull all the more power to you.
That's where all my confidence comes in terms of creating quantum leaps in my life, which my life from a year ago looks completely different, but from 2 years ago I feel like it's a completely different reality.
Yes.
It's crazy. And that happened within smaller quantum leaps, right? But we've really built this course around proving to you guys that like you are the creator of your entire reality. Like everything in your world is a reflection of you. And once you really understand how and why that is, you step into this creative role within your world that has things start shifting quickly.
Yeah. And it has you detached from the things that don't serve you, because you just recognize how powerful holding that end vision is for yourself, and how powerful it is when you can figure out what you truly want and create it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're really going to work on 2 specific things within this course. And it could actually be called a program, because we're going to be doing it live with you guys within a Facebook group. We're going to have coaching calls and all that kind of stuff, like, well, Q&A calls anyways, and it's going to be happening with us and with your fellow participants. But we have structured it in a way that's making it super accessible to our whole audience, because that's really, there's nothing that makes me more happy than someone realizing how powerful they are.
Yes.
And so the way that we've done that is, one, through education, like having you, this is the missing piece in manifestation for 98% of people who it's not working for, is that you have just been the people that you have been learning from are teaching you that you are just a piece of reality, not the creator of it, which, like, on a fundamental level is what you are. So we want to educate you around that in a way that like really is going to benefit you and really have you step into, it's like, once you know, you don't have to try and convince yourself to believe, you just do, right? And then 2, actually have you create a quantum leap for yourself within the course itself, within the time frame of the course, so that it becomes impossible for you not to believe.
Yeah.
And
it's time.
Oh, it's so time.
It's just time. It's 2020. It's a new decade. It's time to start understanding how to create quantum leaps for yourself, and so that you can become unrecognizable by the time that this year is done, by the time this decade is done.
Next month. Yeah. Like, that's how quickly quantum leaps happen. I'm working on one personally right now that I've been holding off on. It has to do with my finances for like 2-3, well, actually a long time. But a few years I've been saying, like, this is something I'll focus on later. And in the last week since I really made this decision, I've just, knowing what I know now and creating from like the quantum, as Zoe and I always call it, things have, I'm like, this was always just a freaking decision away. How long have I been like carrying around for me, it's like loans from being a student that I've just never dealt with. I've been carrying it around for over a decade, because, and even once I got into like law of attraction, it was like, I still just didn't really believe in my power to, it just felt like something that was going to take such a long time. So it was like something that was never motivating for me. Whereas now I'm like, I can be done with this in the next month or 2. And I really believe that because of what I believe about what we're teaching in this course. And in the last week have taken a huge bite out of my student loans. And like, this was always just a decision away, knowing what I know now. Yes. So the missing piece for you guys is that you are trying to create in the new paradigm, or create new paradigm realities, while standing with one foot in the old paradigm in terms of how you view yourself and how you view reality. And we're going to shake that up. Yeah.
So even with Laura's example, think of your own life. And is there something that you just have been shoving on the back burner, something that's been weighing you down in some way, something that you want to get rid of, or a different thing that you want to bring into your life, something that you want to actively create? Yeah. This is the time to do it. In 4 weeks, we want to be there with you guys, helping you like live on these Q&A calls too, to just help you have the best possible experience that you can have in recognizing your power in 4 weeks' time.
Well, and like, think about something that you're currently telling yourself is going to take you a long time, like building a business or getting out of debt or meeting the love of your life. That could happen for you in the next 4 weeks, less than that, actually. Yeah. Like, a quantum leap is things changing for you on a physical level very, very quickly. And that is how it happens. Once you change the way you view reality, which impacts your belief, your confidence.
Yes.
And so you move fully into a new energy, and your reality has to very quickly catch up to you. So what is that goal that you have for yourself that you're telling yourself is going to take you the next 3-4 years? What if it could happen in the next 2 months? What if it could happen in the next 1 to 6 months? Like, whatever, it depends on what your goal is. But we're going to have you guys create that for yourself inside. We did share the name. The
QC Squared.
QC Squared, the Quantum Creators course. I've just never been, I just feel like this is so different than anything else I've put out there, anything else I've ever seen anyone else put out there, and that's why it's going to work for people.
It was a divine download from the universe, you guys. The universe told us to do it. So
Exactly. So jump on the wait list. There is a link for that in the show notes, and it officially opens in less than 2 weeks from now.
Can't wait.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I just can't wait for like the quantum leaps people are going to create within it based on viewing my quantum leaps, and especially in the last 6 months, but the last 2 years specifically.
Yeah.
It's totally, it's just, it's so real. Once you experience it, you're like, why did I ever make this so complicated?
Yeah.
And change my life tomorrow.
It's time to have all of your power.
Exactly.
Have it yours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening.
And we'll see you again very soon.
Bye. Thank you guys so much for spending a piece of your day with us and tuning into the Lo and Zo Show.
If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to rate it and share on social media. Be sure to tag us.
Until next time,
stay abundant.